Welcome to Winning on Wednesday. My name is Juan Vides, and the purpose we're here is to simply get to know each other. I always say people do business so they know, like, and trust. I'm very excited today because I have a longtime friend coming here as a guest, and I'm really excited. So, Willy Zambrano, how are you, Willie?
Very good, Juan. Thank you for having me.
Good. Can you quickly introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. My name is Willy Zambrano. I'm an architect. I have my own design studio here in Freeport, Long Island. And we provide design services for the communities and also individuals in the private sector.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So now take us where it all began.
Mhm.
Where were you? Where did it all get started? Tell us your history.
Sure. I am the youngest of nine siblings. My parents took a chance and decided to come to the U.S. when I was 11 years old. Um, there were only five of us that came. The other two were already here, and two were left back in Ecuador. They had their life there already. As you can imagine, being 11 years old in a new country, it becomes a little bit challenging. And the
Oh
fact
yeah.
that you leave many friends behind, it's kind of daunting at times, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I could imagine. Traumatic, almost traumatic too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And, and I had no say because I was the youngest, right? So,
Wow, wow. Well, you're very resilient too, So,
yeah.
and so tell us about. Did you have any aspirations? What you wanted to do at that time as a kid when you come into a new country? I mean, did you
Yeah.
have any goal? I mean, yeah.
Well, we landed in Queens, in Elmhurst. And I went to junior high. They immediately put me in junior high. But one of the challenges that I had is that they put me in this bilingual class, not being able to speak
Yep.
the language. Back then, and I don't know what your experience was when you
Hmm.
came here to the US, but, you know, you put into a kind of a class and you don't know the language, but at the same time, you feel funny and the classes are not up to par to the curriculum that you're supposed to be having. So there was a little bit of a disadvantage on that aspect. And thank God that I had a few teachers that saw my potentials and actually gave me the opportunity to go into those regular classes. And even I was able to make honor roll. You know,
Wow.
because they gave me the opportunity and I even though it was challenging because of the language barrier, I
Yep.
was able to succeed in those classes.
Yeah.
That kind of gave me the opportunity to go into high school. There I was put into a pre-engineering program, and this is where everything unfolds. I like art, I like to draw, and the pre-engineering program actually allowed me to now do certain things engineering-wise, right? The process of analytics and everything else. And the fact that I had to actually go into math and all these other type of classes, it allowed me the sense of kind of put me in the path. At the last year in high school, I was introduced to architecture.
Oh, wow.
And architecture, if you don't know, is a blend of many disciplines. It involves math, it involves physics, it involves science and art. All of those into one singular profession. And I loved the fact that you had all of that. And then there goes the analytical process, the creativity along with it. I was just hooked. And from there on, I went into college, City College, the city of New York in Harlem. And that's where I got my bachelor's in architecture. I began working for an architect, became his apprentice. Um, he was trying to retire. He offered the office, the firm, to myself and two other individuals. So we had that opportunity to actually buy the firm. And then after a few years, I kind of wanted to go my separate ways. And that
Wow.
kind of shaped me into where I am today.
Wow. So tell me about like maybe you have your hobbies, right? You said you art, and how is
Yeah,
that? How is that? I mean, how did you? I mean, like I know architecture and art it plays together, and that was something interesting you said, and then now it involves physics and the numbers and all that
yeah,
stuff for all that. So it's a discipline, I guess, in order to create something that's going to withstand. I would imagine, right?
yeah.
You have
So
to have all that knowledge in order to create a
absolutely,
beautiful art, and the fact that you're able to create beautiful art to make it last, that's
absolutely. It has
that's
to be
amazing.
sustainable. It has to be resilient.
Yeah.
So you learn about materials, you learn about structures, but a combination of that and also the ability to create something that hasn't been done or kind of blend the old and the new, the modern and the historical, um, and do come out with an experience, right?
Yeah.
Create something that everybody will enjoy, not only from the outside, but as well as the inside. The experience as you go through each space and how that process is kind of emulated from the exterior all the way to the interior.
Um,
It's an awesome process, and I love the fact that we can create spaces within communities, and to certain aspects, architects shape communities.
yeah.
Architecture shape communities.
When what was that? I would say that aha moment that you said it clicked in for you and said, you know what, this is what I want to do. When was
Yeah,
that moment that you said, do you realize that you put those numbers together, you put all those
yeah.
ingredients, the formula, the art. When was that for you that you said, you know what, this is it?
It was during high school. At
Was
my
that it?
senior
That was it.
year. Uh,
And what project was there? A certain project that you
it
worked
was
on?
it was a regular house. The program had to do with designing your own house.
I think I remember
And
that in wood
yeah,
shop. Yeah, they had
yeah,
those
and
shop.
and
Yeah,
the fact that you had already learned the. I mean, back then we used to do everything by hand, right? There were no
yeah.
computers back then.
Right, right,
If that doesn't age me, I don't know what does. But
right.
you know, at that time we had to actually learn how to draw by hand and actually write by with a T-square and a triangle, so that way you can actually get those nice crisp notes in
Right.
and stuff like that. So it was a wonderful experience, and that was my aha moment because from there on I just loved about the creative process and
Mm-hmm.
the analytic of it, and also making sure that all of those spaces are proper, making sure
Yeah.
that, things line up in the way they should be.
It's like you're playing baseball, right? You learn how to play, hit the ball, or
There
like
you go.
golf. You learn how to golf. You're a good golfer, by the way.
But
So we've got we golfed together before in the past.
it
So I can say you're a good golfer.
learning the basics, learning the mechanics, learning that process, right? So all of that, I think that happens with every profession. But here you have a little bit more latitude. You can be more creative and think outside of the box,
Yeah.
which goes hand in hand with forecasting other opportunities and whatnot. I mean, as we go through that processes, you start learning how to actually envision things in the future. For some wild reason, that's what comes to mind, anyways. Every time I
And
go through a design
and
process.
And just I'm gonna just warn people out there. Willie hits the ball very well because he knows the mechanics, and he was giving me some lessons, some tips. So thank you, which has happily helped me. I didn't realize those little certain movements, and wow, like it was tremendous.
It
So
does. It
it
does.
does help out. But again, you have a discipline, and you already have that already. So it's really nice that with the mechanics, you know how the physics works and how everything. So it's
Yeah,
really nice to have that background, and then to apply it to yourself. That's a pretty truly amazing.
exactly.
That's truly
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah.
And listen, at this point, I like to call the golden nugget moment. The golden nugget moment is something that you learned from your journey, that you've gone through this
Yeah.
whole experience. What do you want to leave behind for others that you want to help them improve with their careers or their business or anything or in life? What do you have you learned out of your journey that you want to leave behind?
I always say that with every aspect and every milestone that you live through, there's always a challenge. And we cannot get discouraged by the passion or what you set out to be. I always say follow your passion and make sure that you stick with it, whether it is tough. It only makes you better. It only makes you resilient
Yes.
to those kind of hard times.
Yeah. You
You
know,
know,
it's interesting you say that because they said that sometimes we get comfortable. You
yeah.
get comfortable, and sometimes when something like this happens, it gets out of your comfortable zone, and you have to be a fighter, a warrior. You have to be, like you said, resilient in
Yeah,
any kind of capacity because things happen in life. Things
yeah.
always happen, and you always, but always something good could come always out of something. It's
I'm
always
glad
like,
I'm glad that you touched on that because I always feel that we go through several periods of life, and technology changes. And if you don't change with technology and you're complacent of what you do at that one moment, then you get left behind. So you always got to be ahead of the curve
that's right.
each and every time. And if you don't know something, learn it, stick to it, and then keep on adding to your practice, to your business or whatever. It's never it's always good to be able to learn a new tool because it would only enhance your ability to do better, you know?
100%, and I'm a living proof of that because I've learned how to
There
do
you
a
go.
podcast because I've never learned in 25 years doing digital marketing. Now that you have to put yourself out there, and as people noticed before, I was putting set up my cameras, my lights, action, and everything, and but you learn that through experience. That's the only way you
There
learn
you go.
through anything is through
Eventually
experience.
you'll get to be an actor in the near future.
Maybe they'll pay me. They'll pay me. They'll pay me. They'll pay me for being an actor. Yeah, but right now, but it's all good. Networking groups. Do you belong to any networking groups? I know
I,
I know you're former president, el presidente.
I think I wear too many hats.
Yeah.
Let's start with one that is close to my heart, as you mentioned, AIA New York. It's the American Institute of Architects. I am president of the state chapter, and as the state chapter president, I oversee the membership here in the state, which is made up of 13 local chapters. We're
Hmm.
about 9,800 members strong on a three-tier organization that is global. It's the largest design organization in the world with about 103,000 members throughout the entire world.
Wow.
So, for me to be part of that and be part
Yeah.
part of the leadership is awesome. I mean, what better way to actually lead the charge? But I'm also involved with the Village of Freeport. I'm on the Landmark Preservation Commission. I'm also in my own little town. It's Baldwin. I'm on the Baldwin Civic Association. I chair the Economic Development Committee. And that shows to make sure that projects that come in that are really beneficial for the community, making sure that they all make the community vibrant. And I went through a series of processes. So it's part of that, what we call citizen architect type of mentality, to be able to give back to the community. Um, you know, no monies are involved. It's just a way to actually give part of that expertise that you can lend to the community, and also the community benefiting from that. So,
Wow. It's amazing.
and I'm also an elder from my church,
Oh wow.
the Cornerstone Victory Church, which is my church family now, and has become more dear to my heart and purposeful.
Wow.
So,
Well, listen. I'm very fortunate as well for you to be here, and thank you so much. And we have to thank God and everything. We have those great opportunities for having this today. I just wanted to ask you, what's the best way to contact you if people want to reach out to you?
Well, you can reach my website is www.zambranoarchitects.com with a
Okay.
Z.
Mm-hmm.
My email address is willy@zambranoarchitects. Phone
Mm-hmm.
number is 516-327-0851.
And now we're gonna talk, and there's a reason I did this because now we're gonna talk about your company. And
Oh,
we're
okay.
gonna take a talk about your company. And I did that because I'm gonna ask you again once we finish with your company. So
I don't
people
know.
hear it twice because people need to contact you. I'm doing
Well,
this on
yeah,
purpose. People need
they
to
wanna.
contact you. So now tell us about your company. Tell us about your architect company.
Well, we're a multidisciplinary architectural firm.
Okay.
We design a diverse type of buildings, ranging from commercial to healthcare to industrial, religious institutions, private institutions, clinics. Um, I mean, there's not one aspect of any building typology that we cannot do. I feel strongly about handing over a program and creating something beautiful out of it. An experience that we can go through the process with the clients that we serve, whether it's public, whether it's private. And we actually build experiences throughout that whole process. Um, we envision individuals and organizations' mission to be able to actually create good spaces for them, spaces that actually promote many things that they want to have them promote. We design with a purpose in mind.
Are there can you give us some examples of some projects or notable projects that you worked on that to give us some ideas, so people
Sure,
can know, yeah,
sure.
some projects that you've, excited about.
One of them is a nonprofit organization called Epic Long Island. They have another organization that deals with a lot of mental health services. It's called South Shore um, Guidance Center here in Freeport on Church Street. I actually took them from pre-design services, acquiring the land, and redesigning this entire building of 22,000 square feet, two stories, into a mental wellness clinic.
Wow.
And for me, it was a great honor to be part of that because and I don't know if you remember, COVID really did a number on a lot of people,
Oh
especially
yeah.
when we isolated ourselves, right? And out of that, the kids that came out with a lot of mental illnesses, you know, I mean, you'll be surprised how we don't talk about, suicide type of things, but
Yeah, mental awareness, yeah.
we desperately need this type of services, and they're out there. So I was honored to be part of that process, and they are so happy that we were able to help them
Yeah.
accomplishing their goals. So they're here in the village of Freeport. It's incredible.
You know,
They actually honored me with one of their spaces. They put a little plaque here.
oh,
It's great.
that's great. And that's great because you know what? Those are the thank yous, thank yous that they could, you
And
know?
to be part of that process is
Yeah.
it's even better. It's like putting the cherry on the cake, you
That's
know.
well, that's great, Willie. I'm glad that you taking that social responsibility from your company because most companies don't do that. You know, they don't give back, but it's always good because at the same time it helps the branding of the company as well because people the community knows about your company because believe it or not, Willie, I seen your logo of your company years ago throughout the and I didn't even know that was you until we started playing golf and I'm like, you own this? I'm getting out of here. I'm like, wow, like I was like I was blown away. I like it was almost like meeting a celebrity because I've seen the brand around locally in town, and so it does help out to help giving back to the community.
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah. So
for
now
so
I'm seeing your brand.
exactly. So it's too many brands. There's too many brands. To this, I gotta clean this up. I gotta clean it up. But anyway, but
But it's
Willie,
all good. It's all good.
but
Oh,
listen, I just want to say so thank you so much. It's been a true honor to have you on my show. You don't understand,
uh,
you know, and it's a blessing. And thank God that we're friends and we know each other. And wow, and I think it was George Martinez that invited me to the golf outing,
that's
and it was
right.
yeah,
That's
the
right.
George
So he's
Martinez. So
the
I got to give
council
a
person.
yeah, I got to give him a shout out to George. And again, one more time for the folks out there, what's the best way to contact you so that they can use your services?
Sure. It's Willie at zambranoarchitects.com. 516-327-0851 is my office phone number. Reach out
Excellent.
anytime and ask any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Willie. And if you want to be a guest on Winning on Wednesday, simply go to our website, winningonwednesday.com, and sign up as a first time guest. And we'll have to see you. Thank you again, Willie. And we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Thank you.
All right.